Hey, what's going on, y'all? So in this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys exactly how to automate cold email outreach to actually get leads and book them onto sales calls. Now, this is going to be a pretty elaborate video, but if you follow along, you'll successfully be able to run cold email campaigns, and after they're set up, you don't have to lift a single finger, and it just continues to accrue leads on autopilot, and ultimately just push your offer, and it's very passive. I personally use this along with other outreach streams, so I do ads, I do email, and then I do just organic marketing, posting on YouTube, posting on Instagram, in order to get my clients. So today I'm going to really fill you in on exactly how I'm doing this personally, and also how I'm doing this as a service delivery from my own clients and actually getting them clients through cold outreach. What we're going to do is either acquire leads using web scraping, in which we'll get a ton of different emails that we can outreach on, or if you have a pre-existing lead list, then that's even better. Those aren't even cold leads at that point, they're slightly warm. Either works, but especially once you're trying to just really rack up numbers, you're going to have to rely on web scraping or some sort of database in order to acquire your leads. Then after that, we're going to be launching cold outreach campaigns, and then we're going to try to invoke a reply. Upon reply, then we're going to distribute our link, which will push leads over to our sales funnel, and then we'll also continue to try to have a conversation with them and promote more value. And this will all be done with the power of AI. Don't worry, you don't have to send any replies or any emails after the fact. This is where the AI appointment setter will come in to actually do all that conversing for you. And then from there, it's just about pushing leads through your sales funnel, then watching your VSL or whatever point you have on your actual landing page, and then pushing them to book a sales call with you for you to close into a paying client. So I'm also going to go through the automation side of things and actually setting up an AI appointment setter to handle email replies so that it's a complete closed feedback loop. And once again, all you have to do is launch your campaigns and then just let them run. Any leads that come in, awesome, they'll be handled. So to start off, the first thing we have to do is think about how exactly we're going to attract leads. So what I have here is an example of something around my offer that you can use as kind of a reference or an idea about how to send a cold email for a cold email campaign. So basically the whole idea is we don't want to be too salesy. We just want to give them a little bit of information and then try to invoke that reply. And then upon that reply, we're going to send them over the link to the funnel. And it doesn't even have to be this elaborate or this lengthy. You know, it really depends your offer. But the whole idea here is that we're trying to invoke that reply. One, because it also helps you from not ending up in the spam folder further along, especially when you're getting replies back. This is just going to be great for email health. But, you know, another thing is that, you know, we don't want to give the link off the back. This is a big no-no in cold email because that essentially guarantees you to end in the spam folder, and it really kills deliverability because a lot of email platforms will just automatically block unfamiliar emails or just degrade them over to the spam folder because there's something called a phishing link. You probably know about it, but in case you don't, a phishing link is when a scammer or a spammer will essentially try to get you to click on the link, and then they capture your data or try to do some sort of malicious activity once you've clicked on the link because you're now on their side of things, and that can be very dangerous. So what we're doing is kind of playing by email's rules and being compliant in the sense that it's just straight text, just plain text, nothing crazy, no hyperlinks, no embedded links, nothing salesy either. You know, you don't want to be like, oh, I made this amount of money in this amount of time. Want to learn how to do it too? That's an easy way. Like, even if it's not a get-rich-quick scheme, it fucking sounds like one. You're going to end up in the spam folder. Do not do that too. Try to be personable and genuine, and the whole point is to be like, hey, if you want to hear how this works, I'm happy to send it over. Or, just reply back to this, and I'm happy to talk more about it, right? And it also helps just like with getting rid of people that don't even care about you anyway. The thing about cold outreach on email is it's a numbers game. This is probably one of the roughest forms of outreach, and that's why a lot of people bite the dust or say that it's washed. And it's not washed. It's just you really have to do it strategically. And the best part about doing this is that it's extremely cheap. The biggest overhead cost, aside from paying for the email software to like send out emails, is just going to be paying for web scraping or paying for databases. But we're talking about like tens of dollars, maybe $100 or $2 if you're really getting a bunch of leads. But it's crazy affordable. And then from there, it's a numbers game, right? So imagine you get 1,000 emails and 10 of them respond. I mean, it doesn't matter at the end of the day because to get 1,000 emails, it's probably like 10, 20 bucks. And then if you have a high ticket offer, the multiplier on these leads, as far as the overhead you had to put in to acquire that lead, it's a crazy multiplier. It's very much still worth it. So I highly recommend at least testing the waters with this for your offer. And if you feel like you're sitting there helpless, and you're like, oh, I don't know how to write a cold email, like, look, listen, at the very least, just rely on AI. Like the one you guys are looking at now, I asked ChatGPT to write it up. This is how I prompted it. Just create me a script for cold emails. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can read it, though. But, you know, it's not rocket science. I do recommend, like, for myself, like, for my actual cold email, you know, I'll actually handwrite it. But, you know, if you're not very creative or you don't really have a good place to start, maybe you're a beginner in this, then, you know, you can lean on AI. There's no trouble in that. So cool. Now that we have our actual copy for the email we're going to be running, the next thing to do is actually acquire our leads. Now there's so many different platforms out there, like literally so many. I'm a fan of Apollo.io, so that's a good one, but I just wanted to run through just on the internet a few leading examples of some good web scraping platforms. Hell, you could even go on Reddit and see as far as reference goes. But for myself, just to give you guys a bit of a reference, Apollo AI is great. And then also the next one I'm really going to talk about is Instantly AI. Now, this also transitions into the next part. So let me backstep for a second. If you don't know what web scraping is, it's essentially when you put in some information about the type of leads you're looking for, and then the program will actually go through and scrape the internet and basically compile into a piggy bank a bunch of information about these potential leads that you can go in and reach out on. Now, I also want to note it's very, very touchy to do cold outreach through SMS. In fact, especially if you're in the US, this is an easy way to get banned. Cold email, we can do this all day though. However, the main issue with doing cold outreach is going to be damaging your email health. So there's ways to get around that. The best way to get around that is called warming your email, and you can do this with different platforms to actually automate the ability to send emails back and forth. So the best way you can help your deliverability, especially if you have a fresh email, in fact, if you do have a fresh email, or let's say you just bought a business email, it's really good to warm it up. So what warming up means is that one of these platforms, for instance, you could use Instantly. This is a great email warming platform. And then there's also MailReach, there's Warm Up Inbox. There's so many different ones you can actually use. But the idea is that it's going to automate messages for you. Basically, a robot will fake draft a response, send it over to you via email, and then the automation will also automatically send a reply back. Now, what this does from like email providers' eyes, like Google, Gmail, Outlook, all these providers, they're going to see this and be like, okay, he's getting engagement. He's replying to that engagement. This is a good email. This is a healthy email. They're not able to track the fact that it's automation. So you'll kind of fly under the radar there. And subsequently, you'll get a healthy email from it. I recommend about 2 weeks of an email warming process, and then you'll be good to go to actually launch an actual campaign, like I'm going to explain here in a second. So now, assuming you've got your copy made, you've got your email set up, and it's healthy in the sense that if it's brand new, it's been warmed, or if it's seasoned in the sense that, you've had this email for a while, then you're probably golden already. You don't have to worry about actually warming it up. I will say be wary of washing your personal email. For instance, my email's scott@scaleagents.io, but I use a separate email for cold outreach just because I don't want to ruin like my main email that I take calls on and that I have my calendar set up with, blah, blah, blah. You get what I'm saying. So I highly recommend even getting a separate email and just having that hosted just for cold email. And that way, you don't have to worry about an issue if, that email does have an account health issue and then you're like, oh shit, well that's my only good email and I use that for clients and now it's all my stuff's landing in spam. Many different tricky things about cold email, but once you get it set up, I promise you it is straightforward. Now let's go back to Instantly. So with account health, specifically if you're going to send emails through GoHighLevel, it can honestly be very shitty deliverability. GoHighLevel platform is not known for its email deliverability at scale, meaning if you're sending a few emails to opt-in leads, like I use GoHighLevel for opt-ins, right? I'll send emails through here all day, but cold outreach is another ballgame just because we're sending thousands upon thousands of potential emails each month, right? So I recommend using a party like Instantly, in which they'll also be your email platform provider. And what I mean by that is that you actually send your emails through here. You can still have your emails synced on Instantly and on GoHighLevel. And there's so many other platforms, but I'm going to use Instantly because I really like it. For my clients, we use it too to send our cold outreach email campaigns. So I highly recommend you use it as well. Very user-friendly, affordable as well. So anyways, with Instantly, it'll essentially act as your hub. It has a great KPI measure for your deliverability, but considering that this is all they do is send emails, they've got it on lock as far as maintaining email account health, making sure that you don't go in the red as far as sending too many emails in a given day, or they'll even have flags like, hey, you're having horrible deliverability. We need to fix this, right? So the idea is at scale, you're going to want to use a third-party platform to send the emails out. And then you may be thinking, all right, Scott, yeah, I can send cold emails through here, but how am I supposed to automate this, or how am I supposed to get this into GoHighLevel? So this is why we need that reply. So any lead that receives that message, they'll be logged within Instantly, but they don't really become a true lead until they reply, in which we can actually get cooking with them. And any reply will actually fall within GoHighLevel in our conversation section, because we're also going to sync our email over on GoHighLevel. So now we have a bank of anyone that's actually a genuine lead coming through the pipeline, and then we'll have our AI appointment setter reply using GoHighLevel as the platform to send that other email out. And again, only on that first email we really need to use Instantly. Every email reply after the fact, it's fine to use GoHighLevel because it's a very low scale, and you don't have to worry about ruining your email or email health nearly as much. And then lastly, the idea from here, once they're on GoHighLevel, we got that reply. We're going to set up a make automation to generate the OpenAI reply that'll include the link, and then we'll send it back over to the lead. Now, if you don't want to get fancy with AI, I suppose you could also just set up like a GoHighLevel scenario, like if reply say this. But honestly, one, this is an AI channel and we take things to the next level. But two, if they ask any specific questions alongside asking for the link, then, you're going to have a pretty shitty conversation. Whereas the AI will be able to consistently deliver the link each time and custom tailor an exact reply to whatever the lead said in order to get this in the first place, right? And then I'll also show you guys how to prompt a knowledge base to be able to handle emails. Okay, I know I went through a lot, so just so I don't lose anyone, here's what we did so far. So we built out a cold email script of how we're going to invoke replies. We web scraped using Apollo, Instantly, or so many other softwares in order to actually get a ton of lead lists in order to actually go about doing outreach on, right? We have a healthy email because we've either warmed it or we've had it for a while, it's a little more seasoned, and then we've created an Instantly AI account to be able to send cold email blasts at huge scale, as in thousands and thousands of emails. And then from there, it's just going to be GoHighLevel automations to handle all the replies. Okay, so within your GoHighLevel account, you're going to want to make sure that you're either on your admin account or you switch over to the specific user whose email is in the GoHighLevel system that you're going to want to use to actually send your emails from. So in this case, I'm not going to want to use this email, so I'm going to click login as, and then I'm going to find the specific email that I'm going to be using for my cold email blast. This is just an example, so I'm going to actually be blurring my email, but you get the point of what we're going for here. Okay, so now that you've got your email identified, you're going to go to settings, and then under business profile. And what you're going to do is put the business email here. So whatever email you're wanting to send your emails from, and more specifically, the emails that you're wanting to receive emails from, you're going to want to put that email right here, but you're not done yet. A lot of people think that just setting this up means you're good, but you're not, because you still haven't synced your email yet, right? So make sure you have the credentials. What you're going to want to do is go to my profile, assuming you're signed in with the user from the email that this is set up with. So this is that same email. Again, it's blurred. But what you're going to do is scroll down here. So mine's already connected, but assuming you have an Outlook or a Gmail, it's going to show up here, and then you just click Gmail or Outlook, then you click connect, then you actually sign in. And once this is set up, you're now fully synced, meaning all your different calendar stuff, as you can see here, my Google Calendar is synced. And what this will do is now be able to invoke incoming replies from our cold outreach campaign, and then this will be like the seamless feedback loop, right? Okay, now that we've got our email synced to GoHighLevel, what we're going to do is create a workflow, and we're going to make this workflow email replier. And I'm literally just going to run through it step by step. So let's type in contact. So let's type in customer replied, and then we're going to click add filter, reply channel, email. And that's literally all you have to do there. Now, if you have a fuck ton of emails coming in, another thing that I recommend doing is importing any contact that you're doing with your cold email blast within GoHighLevel. Oh, and I almost forgot an important step. So we've got our email set up for the reply channel to scan it. So what you're going to need to do also for organization, you're going to go into contacts. What you're going to do is click import contacts using this button here, and then you're going to throw in your entire file of contacts. All you have to do is do contacts and just import your Excel file or your Google Sheet. GoHighLevel's not stupid. It'll know how to read it as long as you have it set up properly. And the whole point of this is to have an entire database of contacts so that if and when a lead does actually reply, we already have them in the system, and this is going to make the process a lot more seamless, especially if you associate a tag with them. So just for this example, let's say we have a tag set up for any lead that actually does get this cold outreach campaign, and let's say we name them Email AI. And that'll be consistent to what I'm about to show you here. And the reason we do this is just so we're not getting replies to every single email in existence. So hashtag, so now it's like reply channel email and hashtag email AI. So that'll kind of bulletproof us from dealing with BS replies on accident. All right, so we got the incoming reply. Now, first thing we need to do is store that in a custom field in order to actually save the reply and then be able to shoot it off to make.com seamlessly. And then we're going to do user reply 1. It can literally be whatever you want as far as the naming convention. I already have mine set up, or user response 1. Then what we're going to do is set up the message body, which is the actual inbound email that we just received. So you're going to click message, and then you're going to click message body. Now, if you've never done this before, and when you click message, it may just show up as void, as in, none of this appears because you've never received any messages yet. In that case, you just want to do the squiggly bracket, message.body, and then close bracket, right? And then if you're curious, I know I'm going kind of fast, but if you're curious on how to build a custom field, I'll show you how to do that real quick. So to build a custom field, you just click on settings, scroll down, custom fields, click add field, then click multi-line. go forward, and then this is literally where I put the user reply for. I'm not actually going to do it. Then you click save, and you're good to go. That's literally it. Super fast, super easy. So now going back over to the email replier from here, it's as simple as creating a webhook if you want it to be, extremely dumbed down. What I mean by that is some of these builds that I do get very, very, very elaborate as far as all the different components we're adding. For instance, another neat feature you can do if we do another update contact field. Watch, I have one in here for context. So you could do a custom field and also shoot this off to the make automation and be like, this is an email reply in email structure, something like that. Or better yet, what I'll often do, just so the AI understands the context of the conversation, what we could do is copy this so the AI knows exactly what just took place. This is the email we sent out to the lead. You're now in charge of replying accordingly and sending the VSL, or sending the, we'll just call it a link because I don't want the AI to know it's a VSL and call it one. Put quotes and then paste, bang. And I'm not going to run through it too long, but you can see the email is there now. So we've now just set up the message from the user. I'll even write it here just so there's no confusion. We've also set up the AI convo context. Perfect. So now if you want, you can set up the webhook and then immediately just shoot it off. Now, if you've seen any of my different builds before, like sometimes I'll have massive GoHighLevel trees to be super elaborate, but I just want to keep things very elementary for you guys so everyone's able to understand. And if you do have any questions, or just drop any questions in the comments below, I'll be happy to help out and specify anything. So what we're going to do now is we need a actual webhook link in order to shoot this off to make.com. So I'll just put a place hook, I meant to say placeholder there right now, and then we're going to actually go over to make.com and set up a new scenario. So within make.com, I'm just going to click create new scenario. Very straightforward. Click webhook, custom webhook, and then I'll just do add testing 1 2 3 so no one steals my webhooks. All right, copy. And now that we've got this, we can just save it. It's fine, but yeah, just make sure you click this to copy. And then we are simply going to drop that, boom, within there. Publish. So this is now set up to pick up any reply, but the thing is, before we can continue, we need to actually test the webhook. If we were trying to do the webhook now, there would be nothing that spits out on the other side. Like, I'll show you what I mean. So typically within make.com, there'll be a whole slew of metadata that you can click through. As of right now, we have nothing because nothing has came over from this webhook yet. And the whole point of this is to be pulling data in here, right? So what we're actually going to do is set up an example right now of a lead coming through. So I'm going to go ahead and assimilate a fresh contact using a fake email, and then I'm also Scott. Okay, so I've already got my contact in the system, so I'm just going to quickly add the email AI. This doesn't matter. And then email AI. There we go. Perfect. Add tag. And then I'm now going to send an email from this, and then it's going to hit our system. It's funny, I actually have a drip sequence set up already, so I just got an email for myself anyway. Another fun way to use this, I know we're talking about cold email today, guys, but with warm email as well. So any lead that opts in to one of my pipelines, I have like a 7-day free course that I give out where I'm actually dropping genuine value. And I have this set up on a trigger as well, so if a lead does reply, I'll be able to handle that and respond back to them using the power of AI. So inbound and outbound, it works great, but today we're talking about outbound because, it's a numbers game at the end of the day. If you're capable of automating thousands and thousands of emails each month, imagine if you just get one client from that, you've made your money back tenfold because email outreach is so cheap. So I'm just going to reply back now. Thanks, Scott. Your videos are helpful. Boom. Okay, so I just shot that off. And now if we go over, so now if you look right here, bang, there's my reply. Awesome, right? I just realized this wasn't listening. No worries, though. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and turn it on so it is listening. My bad, guys. No worries, though, because we already have the email part set up. If anything, this is a good learning experience for you guys because the testing node is actually huge. So if you can see, we just got one through. I'll show you the execution logs just to confirm. So it did attempt to shoot it off, but it's an error because I wasn't able to receive it because it was off. But luckily, since we already went through the motions, so sent the email, so my email, the thanks Scott, your videos are helpful, is now loaded in this specific message body. I also want to note, you don't have to build out like a billion user replies for like every contact. A custom field is attributed to every single contact uniquely. So this one, user response 1, could share 1,000 different contacts with all sorts of messages and they won't clash. Custom values is universal. If you look back in settings, there's custom fields and custom values. Custom fields is separate from everything, so you don't have to worry about that. And the reason I'm saying that is because that message is now loaded into here. So what I can do is click test workflow and then go to the email that I just sent it from and then essentially shoot myself through here again. Just shot it, and now, bang, got that reply. We're good to go. So what I'm going to do now is just connect it to show you guys the difference in how the metadata is now loaded in here, and we can actually do what we need to as far as sending that reply back. See, there's all the information. There's my response. So what we're going to go ahead and do now, unlink this, and we need to feed all the contact information over to a data store. And the reason you do this is because you don't want to have duplicated conversations in case the lead keeps on ping-ponging back and forth with AI having a conversation. And we can set this up by having a unique thread ID and have a full conversation history so the AI knows what to re-reference so it's not doubling back on what it's saying or just, being very redundant and honestly getting nowhere in the conversation, right? So from a high level, this is how you can set up something to where you start a brand new conversation thread and actually send the initial message, and then if they reply back, you essentially from there, you can just keep tapping into the previous conversation and then just picking up where you left off, right? So I just want to show you this from a high level. So when the webhook comes in, it knows it's a new conversation, and then we're going to spit that to OpenAI, and then publish that response to GoHighLevel, and then store that brand new contact in there. And then the next time we come through here, or for that matter, any time after then we're going to push them to search for that record because they've already been in this before, and we're able to differentiate that based on these filters that are set up. And then we're going to shoot that message out again, and then you'll notice even in these message threads, we now have a thread ID, and so it'll continue to tap into that same message for that contact, and then we'll send that message off again. And then this top one, it's the same logic as the middle, except this top one's for follow-up specifically. Now let's get into actually building it. Now the first thing we're going to do is set up a router. And what a router does, it'll allow us to split the lead so we know exactly where they need to go. So we're going to start off with the fresh lead scenario. So from here, all we have to do is immediately open up OpenAI, and we'll be fine there because we already have everything set. So if you don't have a Playground account, you're going to need to sync one. I'm not going to get into too much in this video because I'm constantly talking about that. In fact, I'll put a video here on how to build AI appointment setters from start to finish. It's all encompassing, and I also go through how to build out and sync the OpenAI side of things. We're still going to go through that today, but I mean, this part's honestly not rocket science, guys. You just click add, throw in your API key over from your Playground account, click save, and then it'll sync it, right? And then from there, click your assistant for this scenario, and for role put user, because we're going to put the specific response that the user made. So now we're going to click on the message field, and we're going to scroll down and find our custom fields that we set up. So in this scenario, we have user response 1, and then we have AI context, right? So we're going to feed those to OpenAI. And a good way to avoid having a bit of a disconnect, because sometimes if there's a scenario or a glitch where basically you don't have any information loaded in here, it could error out your system. In fact, every once in a while, one of you guys will hit me up and be like, hey, this isn't working, I don't know why, and then it's usually something around that, right? So we're going to go ahead and hard code a bit of text in here, and it's just guidance for the AI to understand. So we'll put AI conversation context, and then we're going to do // This doesn't mean anything to you and I, but it means something to the AI. It just knows how to structure it that way. And then we'll put user email response, and we'll send that. Okay, cool. And then from there, all you have to do is click save. And then just so we're all on the same page, we're going to create a new lead connector. We're going to update contacts. And then what we're going to do, so contact ID, absolute must in order to pitch it back. So we're going to go through our different metadata here until we find contact ID. Sometimes it's a bit of a wild goose chase to find, but it's always in here nonetheless. Another thing you can do is do contact, there we go, contact underscore ID. Perfect, throw that in there. So we now have the exact user we're going to put this new information on. And then we need a reply custom field. I forgot to mention this. What you're going to do, same thing I just showed on how to make a user reply field, just make another custom field. What we're going to do in this example, let's see which one I want to use. Okay, we're going to use GPT Assistant Response Message. And again, all this means is I made a custom field, made it multi-line, and then I typed in the words GPT Assistant Response Message, click Saved, so we have a new field. In this one, we're going to populate the result, aka the reply from OpenAI. Click Save, and you're good to go there. And now this last step is actually storing that brand new contact. So what you're going to do is create a data store, and you're going to do add/replace. Now we're going to go ahead and create a new one so that we're all on the same page here. So I'll just do YouTube data store, and then for data structure, let's go ahead and create a new one as well. So we'll do YouTube data structure, and then under add specification, here's what we're going to do. So first one, we're going to do contact ID. So basically what this means is that we'll now have this contact associated every single time it comes into our pipeline. It understands to tap into this one. This is a required field 100%. Then add item. We're going to do thread ID. This is the associated with the OpenAI conversation we just created. This one does not have to be required, so you're going to click Save now. This is the only two we need in here. You can click Save on that structure, so now populate that. Oops, misspelled YouTube. It is what it is. And then under Contact ID, of course, we are going to append that same exact Contact ID we had a second ago. Bang. And then under Thread ID, we're going to plug in that brand new Thread ID that just got generated here. Thread ID. And awesome, then click Save. Now, we've got this scenario complete. I haven't gone into how to prompt the AI for emails. I'll show you guys that at the end, but I want to make sure we stay consistent with building out this so there's no confusion. So the next step is going to be to actually do the data store section to search for it, assuming a new lead comes in. And I'll show you how we're going to tie everything together in GoHighLevel after this, but I want to set this part up with the build first. So we got the new lead, they came in, we're going to set up a filter here soon. It's going to sense based off the filtration system. It's a fresh lead, it's going to shoot them through here, store their data. Now, next time they come through, the filtration system's going to be like, whoa, we've had this lead before, they got to go up top. So now we got to search for that specific lead. So search records, tap into our YouTube data store that I accidentally set up, and then we're going to do contact ID exists, because if the contact ID doesn't exist, then we already have a problem, because every single lead or every single contact within GoHighLevel, in order to exist, just in general, has to have a contact ID. So this is a non-negotiable, obviously. And then we're going to click and. So not only does that contact ID have to exist, but then we have to associate it with something. Do case insensitive. This just helps to make sure that it's consistent each time. And then we're going to plug in that contact ID itself. And so cool. So now it's going to scan, make sure we have that contact ID, and then it's going to associate it with our necessary one. So now that we have that set up, essentially what it's going to do, because this contact ID that just got associated, of course, already has a subsequent thread ID with it, because we just appended the thread ID over in this section. So we're going to start that new OpenAI conversation this time around again. Message assistant, make sure you're tapped into the same exact assistant as before, and we're also going to keep it as user. And then I'm just going to put a placeholder here just so I can go in and save it. But you want to do the same thing. If anything, you could also put that, oh, this is like the second or third reply. Any reply after the second, that'd be a better one, just in case you go back and forth. For this example, we're going to leave it as is because, again, it's going to understand that there was previous history behind it. The difference, though, scroll down to thread ID, and then notice this is that new record data store we set up. Click thread ID. So now every time it taps into here, it'll know to re-tap into that previous conversation. Go high level, update that contact ID again. So add contact ID here. You can technically do this one. I just like to be safe and continue with the red one because that's like the guaranteed it is one, even though, at the end of the day, it is all the same. But to be safe, that's the way I like to see it. Scroll down to GPT Assistant Response once again. Toss that result in there. Perfect. And then save. So we've set up the structure now. Now I want to get into some of the filters. And then also, mind you, this the follow-up one, we can go ahead and set that up. Hell, why don't we? Just so you guys are fully in the loop. Of course, it made everything look ugly when I did that. All right. I hate how the numbers are off now, but it won't matter once we got our filters set up, eh? All right, so what we're going to do is data store once again, search record. This part's going to be pretty robotic just because I already did it, so we're going to run it. Contact ID exists, and contact ID, case insensitive to, where's our bang, contact ID, perfect, and then OpenAI, message assistant. All right, then scale agents, at least for me. What we're going to do differently here is instead of role user, we're going to do role assistant. The reason we're doing this is because this follow-up assumes that, no new message has been sent in. So here you can get away with just being like, this is a follow-up on your previous conversation. So check this out. So something as simple as that, you're good to go there. And then, of course, make sure to tap into that thread ID so it knows what to reference. Click save, bada bing, bada boom. And then within GoHighLevel now, we're going to do update contact. And then we're going to do the contact ID again. And then GPT assistant response, result once more. And you're good to go. So now we've got the structure set up. Let's get into the filters. So the first filter we need to do is going to be in between these data stores. And this is honestly just, in my opinion, a way to bulletproof your ability to only parse good leads through in here. But we're just going to do contact ID equals contact ID. I know it's a little bit redundant, and honestly, it's not necessarily needed. I just like to make sure we have a foolproof system as far as we're not letting any BS in. So only good contacts are 100% going to come through here. We've got several safeguards set up on that now, right? And same thing up here. All right, and now the last few we got to do are set up our passkeys so that the router understands where to shoot the lead into. And since we're using GoHighLevel, we're actually able to leverage the tagging conventions that GoHighLevel has on deck. So I'll show you how to do that now. So I'm going to show you how to set up the tags here, and then you'll probably be like, wait, Scott, what tags? And then we'll go back on to GoHighLevel, and then it'll all make sense. So at the first one, we're going to do set filter, and then we're going to pull in tags. All right, tags. And so what it's going to do is tap into this whole list. So right now, we could set up any sort of parser for these specific ones. I'm going to set up some new keyword ones just so that there's no confusion. You guys are able to follow along. And then in this case, we're going to do does not contain case insensitive, and then we're going to do web hook. Okay. And then since we also got follow-ups on deck, I don't want to forget that either. So we're also going to go ahead and put does not contain follow-up tag. And then when we do follow-ups, we'll set a tag for that as well, of course. Follow up. Bang. Okay, cool. So we got that one set. So honestly, let's go over to GoHighLevel now. I'll show you exactly what this means. So what we're going to do over on our build. So we just shot that webhook out, right? So we're going to put a tag right below that. And the tag that we're going to add is, let me explain this. So when the customer replies, we're going to update their user information as far as the message they sent. We're going to update the context, and we're going to shoot off that webhook. So the webhook will get shot off, but off the first go-around, it will not receive this webhook tag. So on Make.com's end, they're seeing this as a brand new face. However, anytime after the fact, the lead comes back in here, since they had already had the webhook tag from the previous execution, they're going to have it on every execution after. So you'll probably guess what this one is going to be now for the filter. So we're going to do tag again, of course, except this time around, it's going to be contains, and then it's going to be webhook, just like that. So doesn't contain, brand new, contains, we know it's pre-existing. And once again, because this is not a follow-up sequence, we're going to go ahead and continue to do does not contain follow-up. Perfect. And then here's a fun thing you can do. Let's set up the follow-up sequence now. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and build us a new workflow. It's just make things easier when you don't have to do follow-ups in a separate section. I often recommend differentiating things, especially when you have a scenario with new leads coming into pipelines all the time. It's just nice to keep things separate and organized, especially when you're troubleshooting. Your execution log isn't as long as it needs to be that way as well. Follow up example. Okay, cool. So we don't even need a trigger in here because on the other one, we'll set the trigger there. So we're going to do a wait stage. Let's say after that first reply from the email, you want to wait 1 day before getting back to the lead. Honestly, pro tip on this, let's do some math. The worst thing you can do when you're setting up an automation is have a perfect time figure. So let's say I send my initial AI message at 12:42, and then the next day, also at 12:42, a follow-up gets sent. Super fishy. So what I recommend doing is this. So 24 hours times 60. So there's 1,440 minutes in a day. Let's add a 3 to that. And so that ever so slightly skews the timing factor. And because it's audit guarantees, it'll never be a perfect interval either. So it now technically sends 24 hours after, but it's just a little different. And it kind of just helps to mask things. So we're setting the wait. And then after that, we're going to add the tag. And the tag we're going to add is a follow-up tag. Bang, add that follow-up tag. And then, you guessed it, webhook. And this webhook is going to shoot back to this same exact scenario here, guys. If it'll let me call on it. There we go. Same scenario, drop that in here. So now we've set up a perfect follow-up sequence where it'll wait, it's got that follow-up tag, and it'll shoot back. So let's go and finish our follow-ups here. So we're going to do tag. So we still have to do the contains thing, otherwise it'll break this, so it's fine. We're still doing contains webhook, but we're also adding as a non-negotiable, it also has to have follow-up. It also has to contain case-insensitive follow-up. And then this bulletproofs us from now having separate fields. Now you're probably wondering, oh Scott, okay, what if you send the follow-up and they reply after, that user has the follow-up tag. So what we're going to do, we only need this follow-up tag in order to shoot off that webhook. So the idea is after it shoots off, you can either remove it directly in that sequence, or you can wait for a reply and remove an email replier sequence. So how you would remove it in the email replier sequence is you'd move it right before the webhook itself. But honestly, just so things stay relatively consistent with the separation of these two, just because I don't want to confuse you guys. I want this to be very digestible. Let's go ahead and set the remove tag here. Remove follow up. So now when the contact, it'll receive the follow up, it'll get shot over via webhook, and then immediately we're scrapping the follow up so that when a reply comes through, it'll come through in the middle section, right? This one's for follow-ups, follow-up tag. This middle one, pre-existing conversations, that has that webhook tag and does not have a follow-up tag. And this bottom one doesn't have webhook nor follow-up. It's a fresh conversation. We now have everything set up here. You can go ahead and click save. Now let's get into actually prompting the AI. So what I would recommend, especially if you're not good at doing AI knowledge bases, is going over to OpenAI and having a conversation with it. So at this point, it already knows, based on kind of what I told it, of the pre-existing copy that's going to take place and what we're looking to do. So I'm now just going to quickly write up a prompt, and then I'll get back to you guys. Okay, so this is the prompt I came up with. Create me an email AI knowledge base that can reply back to leads from the cold email one, as well as answer any questions. Since this is an email sequence, use email structure and wording. The likelihood of multiple back and forth conversations via email is low, so ensure you've added substantial information in your reply without being salesy or aggressive. Now, assuming this is for your business model, I also suggest adding a ton of personalized information about yourself, about your tonality, about your business model as well. Like specifically when I'm onboarding new clients, I have like an hour-long conversation with them via video chat when I'm first building out their fleet of AI sales agents. So this part's going to be crucial for the AI to understand your business model. In case someone does have a weird question, it's just nice to have an AI that's actually able to answer it and not hesitate or kind of go out of the lines and sum up an answer that may even be false. So you just need to make sure the AI fully understands what we got going on. But let's go ahead and click this just for the sake. It's going to return something decent. And we're going to go ahead and throw this into our playground. So now we have a full backend prompt of how exactly we need leads to be replied to. I don't have a link in this, so what I'll probably even do is just throw in a sample link like sample.com or something. But yeah, I mean, you're seeing here, basically what it's doing is writing out different scenarios based on the conversation, but notice the consistent thing in all these is link to landing page. Or like in this one, they don't want to see the link yet. They want to be explained to a little more before sending it over. I mean, it's just awesome. Like I didn't even ask you to do this, but it's setting up a bunch of different scenarios. So that's cool. Then we're good to go. I'm actually going to ask it if it can embed a fake link. Okay, so just ask him to embed a sample link using sample.com/VSL. Simple as that. And see, this is why you kind of sometimes have to just mess with it. So it only returned one. And so I'll just be like, no, return all your previous scenarios. So now it should return everything. And so while this is loading, what you're going to want to do is go into your prompts, go into your assistant. So like I just synced a second ago, I used scaleagents.io, but you can use whichever one you want. In fact, I'm actually going to switch it over to lead demo just because I don't want to fuck with my main one. And we're going to switch this out, close, placeholder here. It's no big deal. And even when you do in the future, if you do, decide to clone something and you want to set up a new AI, it's super easy to switch over. See, it even maintains everything. So I'm literally just switching out the brain itself, which is awesome. And, the benefit of this too, you really are able to keep up with changing times because, yeah, I'm using OpenAI right now, but how this model is set up, notice only one part of this build is like setup, tapping, and OpenAI. And something I always tell my clients, it's like, look, we are going to stay with changing times. As soon as a better model comes out, we can switch over to it. We just happen to be using OpenAI right now because it's the most consistent conversation flow on the market to actually get the job done. Okay, cool. So I've got my script ready. I'm going to go and copy that. We're going to go over here now into our playground. Just remove all this other BS. Scroll to the top. Remove this as well. Perfect. All right. So now your scenario is fully set up. Just to recap again, you've written out your script, you've got your cold outreach method set up as far as you're using instantly, you've web scraped a ton of leads, so you know exactly who you're going after, you've imported those leads also into GoHighLevel so that you have consistent tracking, and you've even added a pre-existing tag, so when the lead does come through, you're having legitimate conversations, and you're not accidentally replying just from a random email that comes in your inbox. You've got these automations set up, you've got the make scenario set up, you've got your knowledge base set up. You are now good to launch your cold outreach email campaign. At this point in recording, it's a little over an hour raw footage. I don't know how much it's going to be edited into, but what I'm getting at is you spend about 45 minutes at this point setting all this shit up, in which you can now use for months and months and months to go after your leads. And see, this sequence can also get very elaborate. This is just kind of like a stepping stone for you guys to go off of. But, even with some of my clients' builds, when we're really setting these up, they can get crazy elaborate as far as context, conversation flow, just doing this and that. It's awesome. I love this shit. So hopefully you guys found some value in it as well. So let's go ahead and run through a test scenario. Okay, so I'm just going to message myself again. Hey, Scott, I'm super interested. Can you send over the meeting link? Question mark. So the reason I say that is because I'm going to click run once so we're able to watch what happens on the scenario. So in fact, I'll go ahead and just click here. So hey Scott, I'm super interested. Can you send over the meeting link? Sent. So I just sent that off. So here in a second, we're going to see the webhook get captured, and it's going to spit it to the bottom node because this is a brand new lead conversation in GoHighLevel's eyes and in Make.com's eyes. Perfect. And as you can see, it shot downward. So OpenAI is now generating that reply to the lead, and then it now just got sent back to GoHighLevel, and then we also updated my brand new contact ID within the system for later use. Okay, cool. So now we have to set up the actual reply. So email reply back to lead. So what we're going to do is contact changed trigger. And what is specifically changing is the filter. In this case, it's our GPT assistant response has changed. And the reason this has changed, if you remember in the make scenario, it's because we're updating the GPT response associated with the contact ID. So this changes, and that now becomes our trigger. And then it's as simple as once that trigger is sent, shooting off the email. So we'll just put reply email for this. And then for the from email, because we synced it to your account and it's set up on the business email, you're going to click account. Then you're going to click email, and it should say location.email. That's how you know you're golden. Subject, reply email. I just realized I put that on the name. Let's put Scott reply. And then down here, click on the little custom values thing. Then we're going to click contact. It says custom values, but then we're going to click custom fields. And then GPT assistant response, that's it. And that's the result from the OpenAI scenario. Click publish, and then you're good to go. And then also best practice that I like to do is I like to clear the response message just to make sure that it's fresh each time. So we're going to click clear data field, and then we're going to click user response 1. So that'll get cleared. So next time it comes through, it's a clean slate. We're good to go. Okay, so now we have the inbound email replier, meaning we're shooting the webhook over. Here, let me go ahead and name this something else. Replier webhook to make. Email replier webhook to make, then the email reply back to the lead, and then the follow-up as well. So we're going to go ahead and shoot off a new message to the lead. Mind you, what I'm going to do also, I'm going to clear all the previous tags from this, and we're going to start from complete scratch. And so Make.com is just going to see this as a brand new lead. So it says it's still there just because it delays, but don't worry, I promise you it's gone. So now we're just going to add email AI back because that's our passkey from the imported leads, if you remember. Any lead that we put in here from our cold email, we want to make sure that they're in GoHighLevel and that they have a tag just so that it's a fully closed loop scenario. There's no, issues or discrepancies. So we got that email set up. Cool. So I'm now going to email back. I'm going to say, hey, Scott, I'm interested in what you have to say. Can you send over the link, please? All right, and then I'm going to actually run. Okay, it stopped. Okay, I'm going to run this make scenario. So I just sent that off. So here in a second, we're going to see within the GoHighLevel account, I'll show that in a sec. It's going to accept the new email, and then it's specifically going to push it through here. And because this is a fresh lead, never been in here before, they don't have the webhook tag. Boom, they went to the bottom. So now we're going to wait a second for their reply. Okay, so they just replied, and not only that, it updated the lead, and then it also stored my new information within here. And so we're good to go with that. Now, if you look back over on GoHighLevel's end, we have the new reply set up. So we can also see my previous message saying, hey, Scott, interested. Can you send over the link? And then here's that reply with the sample one. So it's sent as a hyperlink. That's why you see it doubled. But notice, I also prompted my OpenAI to have email format. And this looks like a solid email to me. It looks great, right? And this is really how you're going to take things to the next level with your cold outreach campaigns via email. And if I now look over at my email inbox, you'll see that first one, reply Scott. Click on that. Bang. And there's your automated cold outreach reply. Now, imagine, guys, at scale, you're sending thousands upon thousands of cold emails every single month. And that's all you have to do. You press a button and you call it a day because you have an automation set up to handle all your replies. And you saw how complex this message was. It wasn't like some ragtag response. It was a fully encompassing thing, giving more information, actually providing some value. This is what's going to take you to the next level. And you'll probably be asking, okay, Scott, well, won't it hurt rapport if they think it's an AI? What I do is set up a bit of a delay, especially when I'm having conversations via like SMS or Instagram. If I'm setting up like messaging automations for email, it's a little different, but I'd recommend a couple minute delay if you're worried about that, and you're good to go. It's as simple as that. Anyways, I know this is a long video, but if you watch to the end, lucky you, because most people don't actually put in the time to watch all this shit. And, I'm literally dropping value on how I'm currently making me and my clients like hundreds of $1,000s a month as far as marketing and outreach is concerned. So to all my subscribers out there, I really do appreciate you guys. I think right now we're at a little over 500, so that's a huge milestone for me, and it couldn't be done without you guys. So again, I really appreciate everyone that's watching, and I'm just going to continue to provide value for you guys. I love doing this. This is a huge passion of mine, so I appreciate everyone that supports me. And if you have any questions over any of the automations I went through today, or you're wondering on how you can make things a little more intricate, drop a comment down below. I'll be happy to reply to anything. And if you're interested on how me and my company are able to take you to the next level and actually get you more clients for your business using marketing strategy and the power of conversational AI, we are currently guaranteeing 30 new booked appointments onto your sales calendar within the next 45 days of working with me and my team. And if we don't get you those 30 booked appointments, we will keep working with you for free. Anyways, that's all from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.